Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Before we begin, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you've ever experienced an awkward conversation, tell us about it in the comments. Today, we're exploring a very relatable question. Why do some conversations feel awkward? Almost everyone has experienced that strange moment during a conversation. The discussion suddenly slows down. There is a pause, and nobody knows exactly what to say next. Silence fills the space.
Yes, and that silence can feel surprisingly uncomfortable. Even though silence is a natural part of communication, people often interpret it as a sign that something went wrong. The atmosphere becomes tense. Sometimes, the awkwardness comes from uncertainty. People are not sure which topic is appropriate. They might worry about saying something incorrect or embarrassing. That hesitation interrupts the natural flow of conversation.
Social expectations also play a role. In many cultures, conversations are expected to move smoothly. When pauses appear or responses feel delayed, people begin noticing the discomfort. Small talk often appears in these situations. Topics like the weather, daily routines, or travel are common. They help people maintain interaction without entering personal territory. Small talk acts like a social bridge.
But small talk can also feel artificial. Sometimes, both people know the topic is not very meaningful. The conversation continues mainly to avoid silence. That awareness can increase the awkward feeling. Confidence also influences communication. People who feel relaxed socially usually handle pauses more comfortably. They treat silence as normal rather than problematic. That attitude reduces tension.
So awkward conversations may not be caused by silence alone. They often come from interpretation. When people believe something is wrong, the atmosphere quickly becomes uncomfortable. Small talk is one of the most common tools people use to avoid awkward silence. When two people meet for the first time, they usually start with simple and safe topics. The weather, the location, work, or travel are very typical examples. These topics feel neutral and socially acceptable. In many ways, small talk acts like a social warm-up. It helps people move slowly into a conversation. Instead of immediately discussing personal opinions or complex ideas, small talk creates a comfortable starting point.
Yes, and small talk also helps people evaluate the social situation. During those early moments of conversation, people observe tone, reactions, and body language. They try to understand the other person's communication style. That process is subtle but important. It allows both people to build a small level of trust. Once that trust appears, the conversation can move toward more meaningful topics. Small talk creates the bridge.
But despite its purpose, many people dislike small talk. They often describe it as artificial or superficial. When the questions feel predictable, the conversation can seem repetitive. Another reason small talk feels unnatural is awareness. Both people sometimes know the topic is not very important, yet they continue discussing it simply to maintain social flow. That awareness creates a strange tension.
Personality also influences how people experience small talk. Extroverted individuals often enjoy these short exchanges. They see them as opportunities to connect with new people. Introverted individuals may experience them differently. For someone who prefers deeper conversations, small talk may feel like unnecessary effort. They may prefer meaningful discussions rather than social warm-ups. The difference is partly psychological.
Yet small talk remains an important social skill. It allows strangers to communicate without pressure. Even if the topics are simple, they open the door to stronger connections later. Another important reason conversations can feel awkward is cultural difference. Communication styles are not the same in every culture. What feels normal in one society may feel unusual in another. These differences can easily create confusion. For example, the amount of silence people accept during conversation varies widely. In some cultures, short pauses are completely natural. People use silence to think before responding. It is seen as respectful and thoughtful.
But in other cultures, silence creates discomfort. People feel pressure to keep the conversation moving. When a pause appears, they quickly introduce a new topic. Continuous conversation feels more natural to them. Eye contact is another interesting example. In many Western cultures, strong eye contact signals confidence and honesty. It shows engagement in the conversation. Avoiding eye contact might seem suspicious.
Yet in some cultures, direct eye contact can feel too intense, especially when speaking with older people or authority figures. Looking down or away may actually show respect. The same behavior carries different meanings. Even the structure of conversation can differ. Some cultures value direct communication. People clearly state opinions and disagreements. The message is explicit.
Other cultures prefer indirect communication. People may express disagreement more carefully. Instead of saying no directly, they might use softer language. These subtle differences can easily create misunderstandings. One person may think the conversation is polite and normal. The other may feel confused or slightly uncomfortable. Cultural expectations shape the interaction.
That's why cultural awareness becomes important in communication. When people understand that conversation styles vary, they become more patient and flexible. The awkwardness often disappears. Another important reason conversations become awkward is social anxiety. Some people feel nervous when they talk with others, especially in unfamiliar situations. Their mind becomes very active during the conversation. They start thinking about every word they say. Instead of focusing on the topic, they begin evaluating themselves. Did I say something strange? Do I sound confident enough?
Yes, that inner dialogue can be exhausting. The person is not only having a conversation, they are also monitoring their own behavior at the same time. That creates extra pressure. When people feel anxious, their body also reacts. Their voice might become quieter. They may speak faster than usual or struggle to find words. Those physical reactions can increase the awkward feeling.
Social anxiety also makes people more sensitive to silence. A short pause may feel much longer than it actually is. The person might immediately assume something is wrong. But often, the other person is simply thinking. This overinterpretation can make conversations harder. When someone constantly analyzes every moment, the natural flow of communication disappears. The interaction becomes mechanical.
Interestingly, the other person may not notice the anxiety at all. Many conversations that feel awkward internally actually look completely normal from the outside. The discomfort often exists only in the person's mind. With practice, social anxiety can become easier to manage. Experience helps people realize that small mistakes are normal. Conversations do not need to be perfect to be successful. Imperfection is part of communication.
In fact, relaxed conversations often include pauses, small mistakes, and changes in topic. These moments are natural signs of human interaction. Accepting them reduces pressure. Confidence slowly grows. Another important element in conversations is something we often forget about. Communication is not only about the words people say. Body language and tone of voice also send powerful signals. Sometimes they communicate even more than the words themselves. For example, posture can influence how a message is interpreted. If someone leans slightly forward and maintains relaxed eye contact, it usually signals interest and engagement. The listener feels that their words matter.
Yes, and tone of voice is equally important. The same sentence can have very different meanings depending on tone. A warm and relaxed tone invites conversation. A cold or distracted tone may create distance. Facial expressions also play a big role. Small signals like smiling, nodding, or raising eyebrows tell the speaker that the listener understands or agrees. These signals help the conversation flow naturally.
When those signals disappear, awkwardness can appear quickly. Imagine speaking while the other person avoids eye contact or looks distracted by something else. The speaker may start questioning the interaction. That uncertainty can interrupt confidence. The speaker may slow down, change topics, or even stop sharing their thoughts. The conversation loses momentum.
On the other hand, supportive body language can repair awkward moments. A simple nod or a relaxed smile can reassure the other person that the conversation is going well. These signals reduce tension. Skilled communicators often pay attention to these subtle cues. They adjust their tone and posture based on the other person's reactions. This sensitivity helps conversations feel more natural. Communication becomes smoother.
In that sense, good conversation is a combination of many elements. Words, tone, facial expressions, and body language work together. When these signals align, the interaction feels comfortable and authentic. Even in the best conversations, awkward moments can still happen. A pause appears, a topic ends suddenly, or someone says something unclear. Many people believe that this moment means the conversation has failed. But that is not always true. Awkward moments are actually very normal in human communication. Conversations are not perfectly structured like written text. They include pauses, changes of direction, and occasional misunderstandings. These moments are part of natural dialogue.
The key skill is knowing how to recover from those moments. One simple strategy is asking an open question. Questions invite the other person to continue speaking. They restart the flow of conversation. For example, someone might say, "That's interesting. How did that happen?" Or, "What made you interested in that topic?" These questions reopen the interaction.
Another helpful technique is acknowledging the pause itself. Sometimes a light comment about the moment can remove the tension immediately. Humor often helps here. Someone might say, "Well, that was a very thoughtful silence," or, "I think we both ran out of words for a moment." This relaxed attitude reduces pressure.
Changing the topic can also repair the conversation. If one subject naturally ends, introducing a new idea can restart momentum. Conversations often move through several topics. People sometimes worry that topic changes feel unnatural. But in reality, most conversations evolve gradually. Shifting topics is a normal part of communication. It keeps the interaction dynamic.
Ultimately, recovery depends on mindset. If someone treats awkward moments as disasters, the conversation becomes tense. If they treat them as normal pauses, the interaction continues smoothly. Another common reason conversations feel awkward is overthinking. Many people try to plan every sentence before they speak. They analyze their words while the conversation is still happening. That mental pressure interrupts natural communication. Instead of simply responding to the moment, the person begins evaluating every possible outcome. They might ask themselves questions like, "Is this interesting enough?" Or, "Will this sound intelligent?"
That internal analysis slows down the conversation. While one person is thinking too much, the natural rhythm of dialogue disappears. Responses become delayed and uncertain. Overthinking also increases self-consciousness. The person becomes more focused on how they appear than on what the other person is actually saying. Listening quality decreases.
And when listening decreases, the conversation loses connection. Real dialogue requires attention to the other person's ideas, but overthinking shifts attention inward. The mind becomes busy with self-evaluation. Ironically, people who overthink usually want the conversation to go well. They are trying to avoid mistakes or awkward moments. Yet the effort to control everything often produces the opposite effect.
Experienced communicators often rely on spontaneity. They trust their natural reactions during conversation. Instead of searching for perfect words, they allow ideas to develop naturally. This approach creates a more relaxed atmosphere. Imperfect sentences, pauses, and small mistakes become part of the human interaction. Authenticity replaces perfection.
In many ways, good conversation is similar to improvisation. People respond to each other in real time. The exchange evolves naturally through curiosity and attention. Overthinking interrupts that flow. Confidence in communication is something many people believe is natural. They imagine that confident speakers are simply born that way. But in reality, confidence in conversation is usually developed over time. It grows through experience. The first step toward confidence is accepting imperfection. Conversations rarely follow a perfect structure. People forget words, pause, or change ideas mid-sentence. These moments are completely normal.
Yes, confident speakers often accept those imperfections easily. They do not treat small mistakes as social disasters. Instead, they continue the conversation naturally. This relaxed mindset reduces pressure. Another important factor is practice. The more conversations someone has, the more comfortable they become in social situations. Familiarity reduces uncertainty.
Exposure plays a strong role in this process. Speaking with different people and personalities teaches flexibility in communication. Each interaction becomes a learning experience. Listening skills also support confidence. When someone truly listens to the other person, they respond naturally instead of searching for prepared sentences. The conversation flows more easily.
Body language also influences confidence. Relaxed posture, steady eye contact, and calm breathing can change how a person feels internally. The body and mind influence each other. Interestingly, confidence often grows gradually rather than suddenly. Each successful interaction adds a small amount of experience. Over time, those small moments accumulate. The speaker becomes more relaxed.
In the end, confident communication is less about perfection and more about comfort with uncertainty. When people accept that conversations are naturally unpredictable, speaking becomes much easier. Another interesting aspect of communication is something we might call conversation energy. Some conversations leave us feeling inspired and mentally refreshed. Others, however, can feel surprisingly exhausting, even if the conversation was polite and friendly. The difference often comes from emotional connection. When two people are genuinely interested in each other's ideas, the conversation flows naturally. Time can pass very quickly.
Yes, those conversations feel energizing because both people are engaged. They listen carefully and respond with curiosity. The exchange of ideas becomes dynamic and stimulating. It feels like a shared exploration. On the other hand, some conversations require constant effort. One person might carry most of the dialogue, or the topics may not interest both participants equally. The interaction begins to feel heavy.
Emotional atmosphere also matters. Conversations filled with complaints, tension, or negativity can slowly drain mental energy, even if the discussion is important. In contrast, conversations that include curiosity, humor, and openness tend to generate positive energy. Both people leave the interaction feeling mentally lighter. The exchange becomes uplifting.
Listening quality also influences conversation energy. When someone feels heard and understood, the interaction becomes much more satisfying. Mutual attention creates connection. Ultimately, conversation is not just about exchanging words. It is also an emotional interaction between two minds. The quality of attention and openness shapes the experience. That determines whether the conversation energizes or exhausts us.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue creating these English listening podcasts. And we would love to hear your thoughts. Do some conversations energize you, while others make you tired?
Tell us in the comments below. Your experiences and opinions make these discussions even more interesting. Thanks for listening today. See you in the next episode.